so we've got the original dash unit here, removed from the vehicle, and we're going to put in our lovely digital dash. We've already done the unboxing, I showed you that earlier, so we've opened that up, we've got it prepared, you know, we're ready, we know what we're looking at here. So the original unit, it's going to have 4 screws, it's going to have clips and a couple of screws in the back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 here. I've already got those screws, I've taken them out, so you don't have to watch me do it. There's a little sticker on the back, you might have to just peel that down, but otherwise it'll just fold off with it when you take it out. So there's just a couple of spring clips on either side, 1 and 2 here. Take the back off, and then that's that. Keep all the bits on the side. I've been back and forth with this to show it being reinstalled, so I've already got actually got the centre caps off the speedo and rev counter dials, but this will just lift out of there, so there's no screws necessary for that, and then this is all you're dealing with then. Right, so the first thing we're going to do is just set those parts aside over there. We're going to use that casing to put all this back in again in a moment, just to keep it all safe. Now I did mention when I was taking this all apart that these needles, you just put them on, you can centre them, blah, 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 don't worry. Well, the truth is, when you pop these off, you're going to end up moving, you're going to end up changing the positions, whether you like it or not, of those counters. So, I mean, if you can hold it at 0 with just a pinch here, just as your lever in the back, then great. But if you can't, then don't worry. All you're going to do, if you ever have to put this back in again, you're going to let those servos do their sweep, and then you're going to very carefully just put them on in that 0 position, because the motors aren't going to read their current position and go, I'm happy to go anywhere you want. They've obviously got a limited movement. They're not 360 stepper motors with positional reference, if you need the technical bit that would apply to make that possible. Right, so we're going to pop these needles off. Right, mine are going to be easier than yours because I've done it before, and these have been done before, more critically, but the method is going to be the same. So they give you pry tools, they give you, you're going to need something pretty good, strong to get in there and pop it. Plastic definitely is the best. Being honest, my preferred method is to just have a little thin plastic protection on here. Could even be this bag folded in half, and then use the pry tool to just take the prongs underneath either side of that, and you're going to pop it. You might be more comfortable using the plastic edge and just rocking the needle back over it slightly. It's down to however you feel, but it does require quite a bit of force, and these will go flying. So make sure you've got a handle on them. So as I said, I'm going to try and keep this on 0. There would have been a plastic cover on this. It's easier to pop off, so you could just pop the edge of that first, and then you're dealing with the bit that's going to come out. So get onto the back of that. Again, just rock it back onto it slightly. The servo will give you that bit of play in the needle. Keep your needle on 0 if you want. I'm going to do this time just to prove it, and then that's just popped for me. You will need more force than that, okay? The first time that these ever come back out of there, they're going to need a good old pop, and it's not going to feel comfortable. When it goes, you're going to really feel it. I'll push this next one on as hard as I can without being silly, just to, okay, so that's well down. Now maybe this will be like a normal remove, but I suspect because I've had it out before, there won't be much to it. Yeah, it feels the same as I'm moving it back here. So I'm just going to grip it, keep it on 0, just because I know what I know. I'm going to push it back over that tool, and I'm just going to pry it. Yeah, and that's come a lot easier than the first time I ever did it. And it gets easier every time. You know what to expect. Again, same with these. We're going to just get something nice and thin in there. A bit of this packaging is absolutely fine. I am going to just. It's either going to pop all together. Yeah, this will, because I've got right under it, and I can leave the cover on. Actually, it's the best place for it. And you can, to keep everything together, just pop these covers, clip them back on. They actually seem to grip a lot better and harder onto these larger needles. So I'm just going to push that back in there. Yeah. Or I'm going to drop it on the floor. So yeah, I'm just going to place it on the deck and just push that down, and yeah, nice firm clip, it goes back in again. So I'm going to save those needles, I'm going to pop them in a little bag, preferably not with any metal screws or anything like that. I only really want them to be, you know, in a small bag on their own. I mean, one of these screw bags that it comes with, you're not going to need it again after today, so just take the contents out, keep your needles safe. I mean, the other alternative is that you put the servos back, but you haven't got the board to clip it into, and it's just, you don't really want it flapping about. So we'll just drop those into that bag. And when we put all this back into its housing, which is what I like to do, it just keeps it all together. And if anything ever happens in the future, you can obviously very easily roll back. Okay, so that's the fourth one removed. I'm just going to pop that in the bag, zip that up. That's the 4 dial faces clear. And what that means is we can now remove the majority of this stuff. There's just a ribbon cable that we need to be wary of. So to remove the ribbon cable, you've got a little black plastic trim on top of the white PCB mount for the ribbon cable. So all we're going to do is just ease that bit of black plastic forward. It will most likely unclip, a little bit of black plastic, just put it aside again. You can put it into your needles bag, that's done. This ribbon cable now will be free. Just check that it is free. You don't have to pull it all the way out. We don't want to stress it. You know, I know it'll come off when I take this off the board now. Done. What I don't want to do is leave that attached. Release this and then go, ooh, I need to get in there and do that, because you're already stressing it. You've pulled it, you know, you should have waited. So we're going to place this face down. I don't want to do any damage or put any scratches on my nice matte black dial faces. So I'll use a bit of the packaging that the original stuff came in. Now we're going to release these 1, 2, 3, 4 servos. I saw in somebody else's video, and I don't see why we shouldn't do it. It's just to number these. So I'm just going to go 1. Well, actually, I'm going to go, because I know my own systems. I'm going to go TL, TR, BR, BL. Hopefully I don't need to explain that. If I do, then take the install option. That's top, bottom, left and right. Cool. Right, so we're going to just pop these clips, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's just going to fall away. And we know we took that ribbon cable out, so we don't mind that happening. We're confident. Done. Okay. And then we're through to the releasing of the servos. We could have done this earlier, but we're going to do it now. I like to just get all that safe and clear and moved away, because this bit is just a bit push me, pull you. And actually, the truth is that has to be off, because you get to this side. I was looking at that side, but we release the clips from this side. So what you're going to need a sharp pin-like object. I don't think the screws that come with it are quite up to the job. I wouldn't like to say they are. The smaller of the T drivers, if you had to, you could push that down the centre, but it's not a clear fit. So I would personally find yourself a little scribe tool, a compass, one of your wife's earrings or your own earrings, who knows. And for me, I do have a full take apart kit of every trim and removal tool you could ever imagine, and this is the ideal tool. So something like this, you know, it's got a point on it, or if you've got one of those electrical screwdrivers that had a point on it in a kit, and you're like, well, what do I always need? What will I ever need that for? Well, it's like a terminal tester, but you can use that to just very carefully, very accurately, just push the centre out on these little kind of white flowers, and we're gonna be just pushing that center through on each one of them just until it clicks. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. There's 2 per servo, and once they're down, it's going to allow those 4 clips to just close in, and it's the same as a trim clip basically. So then we're just going to very carefully just rock these and get those clips released, and they'll just come off like that. So it's just 1, 2. Watch your hands on the circuit board, because the last thing you want to do is dig a nail into a little transistor or something like that, or a little chip. So try and use a bit of care. Okay, that's 3. If you're struggling, you can just go around the other side, and you can just push these little white clips just to help it get past the board, and then just go back to this side and it should come off nice and easy. Refrain from twisting it too much, because you don't want to change those, bend those needles or put any pressure on them. But that's it, that's the board, that's the board totally stripped down, ready to go into the virtual unit. So let me bring the virtual unit over. This board is the most valuable thing in the equation. Okay, it's OEM. Your computer needs to recognize it. It wants to see it again. It's the reason this works without any extensive coding. So let's take care of it. Right, before I carry on, because I like a tidy workspace, I'm going to take this stuff and just show you how I prefer to put it back in safely. So this obviously still locates as it did in there. Your ribbon cable's protected, your LCD, everything's housed safely in there. Then I would just take your packing bags, get your little ribbon black plastic strip, which can join the needles in the anti-scratch bag, and put that aside. We'll put the 4 servos, which operate your needles, into this larger bag with that on. It's all together, seal it up, and then last thing we do, we're going to just pop that inside there, not full of air. Just make sure that it's all neatly in. Pop the back on. I did manage to lay them out once successfully like this. So get the pokey needly bits on the dials, and just make sure that they're sort of sitting into recesses within the back of this. So I have had it closing with it here, so I know it fits. It's just frustrating watching someone do it slowly. Right, so get that to close. Make sure all your bits are in and they're not interfering with ports on the back. Sticker can go back over on the back if you like. Put your 4 screws back in that. That is everything you need to take this back again, less that board, which we know is literally just going to sit inside this unit. And the only thing that's going to be connecting to it is a special cable which interfaces with that, and your original unit fit. So once we are all back together with this, we can install that PCB into our brand new LCD unit. And then we'll go and move on to all of the configuration and settings, which is another 10 minutes of my life I can't get back, but it's enjoyable seeing all the new configurations for the first time. Right, so we're going to obviously handle this very carefully. We don't want to upset any ribbon cables between the two. Again, I don't really care about not scratching the screen interface, so I'm going to just move that off over there, and then I've got a nice clear space to install my board. The board, it's quite clear which way around it needs to go. There's a big hole here, guys, and that's where your port needs to go through. If there are any plugs, just make sure that they're properly seated. You've got a little piezo sounder on the back of there. You've got LCD control board. You've got the brains. Okay, so it's going to go this way around, and what it's going to do is allow that blue port to go through that hole. So we're just going to lower it down, and the mounting points for a T6, it'll be different for different other vehicles, but for the mounting point for a T6, you can see them pretty clearly. As you go down, you'll identify which ones you're going to be using. 1, 2, 3 lining up. They give you these rather, I don't know how to describe them really. Yeah, I don't know what they've got them off, but they've got these black plastic washers that are bigger than the screw, but they take the metal contact point out of the circuit off the board, so I'm happy. So we're just going to centre that on there. I'm just going to put them in loosely first. I advise the same, just because you might want to just nudge the board just to like there. Just need to get centre again on the location for it. Again, just be very careful. Make sure you don't slip and jab your screwdriver into your board. You're going to pay for it, and it won't be me that you have to pay. Disclaimer. Yeah, the disclaimer runs throughout this, and it'll be in the text as well. But if you do anything wrong following my instruction, I will not be held responsible. You've watched me do it successfully, therefore you could do the same. I also give you the option to transfer that liability over to me, and you can click the links in this video and you'll be able to go there and do that. But I would rather more people could do it for themselves, or those that thought they could do it for themselves but watched this video made the correct decision for them and asked for help, regardless of where they choose to go. Okay, so let's just put this last screw in. On a few of the units, which I believe they 3D print, looking at the tooling marks on them. When I say tooling marks, they are not tooling marks. The 3D print residue lines. I'm pretty confident that they 3D print this stuff. I'm not going to lie, the back casing, it could be a better plastic, it could be a better design, it could have more fillets in it. I'm from an industrial design background, so I like to see things indestructibly strong. And when I look at the VW one, I can see all of that strength in the clips and everything else. But as long as you take care and are aware of limitations, there's no reason why this is ever going to be stressed to that point. That's been designed for a lifetime of clumsy mechanics, and this probably will never get touched. Right, mechanics are not clumsy. All the mechanics I've ever used have been highly precision tools. Disclaimer there. Right, so we're going to just put the front back on now. We've got the circuit board in place. That's it. You just 3 screws, fasten it down. Nothing to connect, no ribbon cables, no internal connections. It's all done via the outside. And when they say plug and play, this is what they mean. It is plug and play. There's no programming. Your original board's in there. The ECU, the BC body control module and ECU and everything else is going to see that board. It's still going to recognize it. You might get some minor faults if you were to scan just about CAN bus data return. Whether it's not receiving something back. I'm not really sure whether that's to do with the instrumentation here or whether it's to do with the fact that I've got the Halo 11 in, because that's part of the nav unit that was giving feedback to the dash cluster as well. So I'm pretty sure I already had that, but nothing will pop up on your screen, I guarantee it. And this will be quite happy as is. Right, so I'm going to just pop these 4 screws back in here. Feel free to skip forward, or I'll find something interesting to tell you. Be careful when you put it back in again, and we are going to need to make a cut in the back of our dashboard. I like to do it with my Dremel that I've had for 24 years, I reckon. And you can always find a new use for a Dremel, right? Especially when I've got the little extendable wavy thing on the end. But you can find your own way of cutting this. I mean, you could do it with snips, you could do it with a jab saw, you could do it with a file, you could do it with a number of different ways. It's a fairly soft plastic, but it is quite thick, and I'll show you in a second what we have to do there. I'm actually going to cut mine because the first time I installed, I didn't cut it and made life very hard for myself. But you will be stressing some clips. Right, that's all back together, so we're going to go back to the vehicle. We're going to put this in. We're going to leave the plastic on the front to protect the screen and the surround. And we're going to go and get this reinstalled. See you in a second.